baby. Hi. Let's start the video, yeah? So, hello everybody. Today I'm doing something different. It's a vlog, kind of, but I'm gonna be showing you how to cook something. I'm mostly making this for that one friend who keeps asking for the recipe. So today I'm gonna be making Japanese style sweet curry. This is most of the ingredients you're gonna be needing. So this is gonna be like, either if you eat really big portions, then it's gonna be one portion, or if it's gonna be like normal size portions, then it's gonna be like enough for 2 people probably. Maybe like 2.5 portions. So half an onion, 2 pieces of garlic. This thing here is ginger. You can buy ground ginger, or if you're allergic to it, you can skip it altogether. A carrot and a half, 3 potatoes, and an apple. Now, in order to start cooking, we're also going to need salt and pepper, and a few other things. But first step is to pretty much slice everything into neat little pieces. So with everything that needed slicing now sliced, we can actually start the cooking process. And first up is the butter. I like to cook with butter, but if you don't like butter, or if you're vegetarian, you can just use vegetable oil as a substitute. I just think it tastes better with butter. So turn on the heat and put a pot on it and put in the butter and let it melt. I'm using about this much butter, 3 pieces. So the butter is in, it's on low heat, the rice is boiling. You're gonna need rice for this. Curry is usually served with rice, so the butter is melting. And it's time to put in some spices like salt and pepper and a few other things. So with salt I usually do 6 turns, but if you like it more salty you can always add more salt later. I do about 4 for pepper. I don't add a lot of pepper since this is a non-spicy curry. I also do know how to make a really spicy one, but this is a non-spicy curry, so it's okay for even children to eat. Now we have cumin, about 2 teaspoons of that, and then add 1 more. Next up we have coriander. I add 2 spoons as well, 2 teaspoons, but if you don't like it, you can only add 1 or skip it. And lastly we got curry. So I'm gonna use pretty much everything that is in this pack. I'm just gonna put it straight in the pot. I have no idea how much that is in amounts. But usually a bag of 40 grams lasts me for like 3 curries. So it's about like 1/3 of the pack left. And now we put our onion into the pot to cook in all the spices, as well as the garlic and the ginger. Don't slice the ginger, well, you can, but it's not gonna, well, I like to take it out in the end because it's gonna be hard and unpleasant later. You're gonna have to start stirring the onions. You can also use ground ginger, but yeah. So we just put everything into the pot. It's really hard to cook and film at the same time. Yeah, so now start stirring. And the onions need to cook till they're a nice golden brown, which in this mess is gonna be hard to tell a little bit, but you're gonna see once the onions start changing color on their own and not because of this. And it's already starting to burn a little bit, so we need to add a little bit of water or else it's gonna burn. Just a little bit. To keep the whole thing from burning. There, you can probably see this better now. So I'm just gonna cook the onions till they're ready. Everything needs to cook, I don't know, for not less than 5 minutes, but maybe around 3.5 minutes. We can turn up the heat, so it's definitely gonna go quicker, but we might need to add more water because this can start burning all over again. So I've already added the carrots, and now I'm going to add the potatoes because they're going to need to cook all together to get the flavor of the curry into them. And with the potatoes in, we just stir, turn down the heat. Yeah. It all needs to cook together for a bit to become one tasty thing. Now, while the vegetables and the spices are getting to know each other, we can prepare the next step. Now, we need to boil some water and dissolve this bouillon cube. It's vegetable broth, but you can use any broth you like. Now, I have this huge mug. I'm gonna put it in there and wait for the water. We still need to keep stirring this because it can all burn. So you have to manage between watching the water and doing this. If you are doing this for the first time, you can actually turn off the heat and let it sit there and then put a lid on it so it doesn't cool down. Now it can sit tight and wait because the water is going to be ready in like 2 minutes. And you don't have to worry about the whole thing burning. Hey, BB. You're bored. I'm not paying attention to you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the water should be done any moment. It should be like half a liter cup, but like 0.5 liter. Now we just pour the water on the bouillon cube. And we need to stir this thing for it to melt. You can use just regular water to pour over the vegetables, but I find that it tastes much better when you use a bouillon cube because it enhances the natural vegetable flavors a little bit. Just keep stirring until the cube is all dissolved. I think it's just about dissolved, so I'm just gonna go turn the heat back on for the curry, and the rice is nice and done. Turned it back on the heat and turned the heat up to higher, so it just... Pretty soon we're gonna add in the bouillon, and it's gonna be on to the next step. So, yeah, it's releasing that little oily layer. I think it's dissolved mostly. Now we just need to dump this in the pot and not all over the stove. Yeah, there was a little bit of the bouillon cube left, but it's gonna finish dissolving in there. And now stirring, a lot of stirring. And I'm just gonna check the time and wait a little bit, like maybe 6 minutes, and then add in the apple. Now, before we go adding anything else, I want to do a little taste test and see if the taste is right. Yeah, it's okay. The salt is okay, everything is okay, because sometimes when you add more water or more bouillon, the taste gets kind of thrown off. This time it's not. Like, sometimes you can't feel the curry anymore, so you need to add more curry spices, or you can't taste the saltiness at all, and you need to add more salt. So you have to taste it a little bit as you cook to make sure the taste is on point. Now we just kind of need to let it boil until all the vegetables are cooked, which is depending on how thick you slice them, because the thicker they are, the longer they will take to boil. The carrots and the potatoes need to be boiled all the way through. And I think it's about time to take this and put it in there and just let it sit there. Yeah, it's going to release its delicious apple juices as it boils, and it's going to become really mushy, and I don't like the texture of mushy apple. So I like to take it out before it turns to mush, but after it's already added some flavor to the curry. And another bit we're going to be adding in this step is sugar, because it is a sweet curry. Now we add 2 teaspoons of sugar, and I can't remember which spoon I've already used for what, so I'm going to take a new one. New clean spoon later, because I put one of these spoons in my mouth for taste testing. I don't remember which one, so I'm taking a new clean one as to not contaminate the sugar. That's 1 spoon. And not a completely full second one. That should about do it. And now we stir some more. And you can just tone down the heat, kind of put a lid on it, and go have a cup of coffee while the vegetables cook. You're gonna have to come back to the pot once in a while to see if it's doing okay and give it a stir, but you don't have to constantly stir it. So just put a lid on it and go play with your dog or have a cup of coffee. I'm gonna go play with Ari since he seems to really want attention. Okay, so it's been about 8 minutes since I put in the broth and this whole thing started boiling. I'm gonna take out the apple now. The whole thing already has a nice taste of apple, and I don't want this to turn completely to mush, so it goes into a nice little bowl here. And the rest needs to boil for at least another 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes. So I'm just going to spend that drinking my coffee. So it's been 4 minutes, the vegetables are done, but I'm not going to turn off the heat just yet, because now we need to put starch in it, you know, make it thick. It's not supposed to be a soup, after all. We need to put starch in it. So you can use cornstarch, or I don't have it, so I'm going to use regular flour. About 2 soup spoons of this stuff. Pretty big spoons. Now we put warm water over it and stir it. We pretty much fill it up with hot water. And if you're using flour, I'll show you an extra step to do, because flour likes to form these huge ass clumps, and you really don't want these clumps of boiled flour, well, semi-boiled, swimming in your curry because it's gross. So what you do is you get a sieve. This is the only one I have. We've been using it mostly for tea, but I also use it for this sometimes. And you pour the whole thing through the sieve into the pot. Now, it's gonna get like this. So you need to kind of stir it in the sieve, and this requires 2 hands, so I can't really film it. But you basically just pour it into the sieve, and you do this in the sieve over the pot. You just kind of stir the flour so it drips down, but you need to hold the sieve with one hand and do this with the other, so over the pot while you're pouring the flour one bit at a time. So the flour mixture is slowly dripping into the pot if you don't stir it. I mean, you can hold it like this forever. You also need to start stirring the pot as you're getting more and more of the flour mixture into it. So I've already gotten like this much of the mixture. It was a full mug in there. And you see the curry is kind of starting to thicken. So as we give it a stir, you can kind of see it's becoming more of a goop and less of a soup. Now we need to get the rest of the flour in there with mixing the flour mixture in the sieve and then stirring the pot until all of the flour mixture is in it. So you have to do kind of three things simultaneously. But it's not that hard. And the mixture's done. What's left in the sieve contains the flour clumps. Most of them got completely dissolved as you're stirring it in here. And now we really need to stir the curry. And turn up the heat. Turn it up, and we need to stir because this thing is going to start thickening and burning pretty damn quick if you don't stir it properly. Yeah. We need to heat it up, stir it, and then kind of let it cool a little bit. As it cools, it's gonna solidify even more. It's not supposed to be like rock solid. It's still supposed to have a bit of a goopy texture. If you've never had curry, it's really hard to explain what it's supposed to be, but it's not supposed to be soup. So it solidified about as much as it could, and you serve it with some rice, and I like to put the apple slices on top. And I hope you enjoy this. I hope your curry turns out well. And if you're interested, I might do another video on how to do the spicy version of this, and also a version that includes some chicken or other meats. I know how to make a few different versions of curry. I'm not a professional chef or anything. And it's really hard to cook and film at the same time. So, yeah. Like I said, I mostly made this for that one friend who was asking for the recipe. But if any of you found it helpful or useful, yeah. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.